Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. This video I'm actually going to post first before I actually post another video for tomorrow because of just news that came out today. I figured just to dedicate some time to talking about this because this is actually pretty kind of in some ways a part two to the last topic video that we did, which was in regards to the tariffs that were in place and how that was going to affect Hollywood. I want to discuss further about that, but some content that I was planning to do, I'm actually going to push that to tomorrow. So, and I would put this in the news roundup, but I think that it's important to dedicate a video to this as well because of just clarifying, I think, about what the language of this development is, because I feel like some people are going to take it woefully out of context. So I just wanted to kind of clarify on what's going on in regards to China, because for those who don't know, and if you've just been living under a rock, politically, there's a lot of heat going on between America and China because of tariffs that were placed by Donald Trump, tariffs that were being trickled out for the past couple of months that eventually had gotten to the heights of like 54%, to where now, just in the span of a few days, they've risen to almost 125%, if I'm not mistaken. And tariffs were also in place around, various nations, so it wasn't just squarely to do with China. But there has been some progress and some not so progress in regards to the trade war as it is. Lots of the tariffs that were in place have been scaled back, so they're back to like their normal rates of about like 10%, at least as I glean. I think that those are normal rates, I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I've seen in terms of just small hand research. Again, I'm not an expert on tariffs or an expert on just the whole financial side of things, but it's to say that there was some progress that was made. I mean, the stock market saw a big boost since the decrease in all these tariff rates. So, but the ones that did not get decreased was China, and that's why we're now seeing 125% tariff. And in regards to film, we have discussed about China and the distribution system and how things may, shape in terms of how they may distribute American products, specifically Hollywood films. So now we are seeing today they have made it known that they will in fact be reducing the imports of Hollywood films. So the China Film Administration, they have made it clear that they will be looking at some reductions in regards to Hollywood films, but I think it's important to understand the language of what they're saying, because just saying that, there are people who will probably think, oh my gosh, there's not going to be, potential for many major motion pictures to see overseas, or to make their way overseas to gain access to the international market. I think it's important to understand just what's being discussed here, because here's what they said, in terms of the film administration. So just reading the Hollywood Reporter here. So, quote, "The China Film Administration, the body that handles film releases and quotas in the country, released a statement on Thursday," that being today, "in response to a reporter's question about whether the Trump administration's increasing tariffs on China would impact imports of American films. A spokesperson for the film administration said that the U.S. government had made the wrong move to, quote, abuse tariffs on China, and that the situation, quote, will inevitably further reduce the domestic audience's favorability towards American films. It goes on to state, quote, the statement, which added, "We will follow market rules, respect the audience's choice, and moderately reduce the number of American films imported. China is the world's second largest film market. We always adhere to a high level of opening up to the outside world, and will introduce more excellent films from the world to meet market demand." And just so you also understand as well, China's tariff rate on American goods has climbed up to at least 84%. So currently, as it stands, Trump's tariffs are at least 125%. Now China's are at least at 84%. So it's a very interesting development. It's something that was rumored for yesterday or so, but there was no firm response. So now that we do have a firm response, I think it's important to understand just how this is probably going to affect things. I mean, it is absolutely going to affect things, but as this suggests, it may not have, in fact, be a full-scale ban as much as it is just a selective ban. In that they are going to be looking at the type of imports that are coming in and seeing the financial potential that these projects may in fact bring, as they said in their statement that they're going to moderately reduce the number of American films. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to be banned. It's just more of a case-by-case basis in terms of what is going to financially do them good for their business, and hence they may allow them to enter their market. But there is now going to be potentially some questions in regards to even if they allow for such a thing, if it's even possible on just a literal financial stance. Is it possible for Hollywood to even import these goods when you have a tariff rate of now 84%? Is that even possible at this point? We don't know. To be honest, I literally just read that 84%, because initially it was like 34%, but now it's like at 84%. So that's very concerning. But as they're saying, it is a case-by-case basis. So it's not a complete ban on American goods. It's now based on what will do them profit. Like films that are playing right now in China, of course, a Minecraft movie, and then some other films, which just, prior to these tariff rates being raised, they've already had no agreements within distribution. So films like The Amateur, which is coming out this weekend, as well as some other films here and there, they've already had their agreements. They've already laid out their contracts with this administration. So they're going to be fine. They're going to play in China. But anything beyond that has yet to get an agreement with China, that is probably, these tariff rates to now be considered, and also the administration's standards now being enforced. Because as we've illustrated before in the last video, China has always had a kind of a stringent process when it comes to what American films get brought into their country, because of the government's sensitivities towards specific content. It's not like these things have not occurred already. China's already had their odds when it comes to Hollywood productions because of the sensitivities surrounding certain content and certain depictions, specifically towards their own government. So it's not like it's that these sort of restrictions per se have never been a thing. They have been a thing, but now there's a larger financial aspect to now consider when you have these higher tariff rates, now more of a selective process. It does create more of a question mark when it comes to what will ultimately land in China. And even if these film companies will have the money to supply that distribution, to see those imports, to have these films delivered to these nations, is it even possible at this time? We'll see, because what is not happening right now, guys, like I said, it is not a complete ban. So you're not seeing China just completely saying no on American product, completely no on American film. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is that they're being a lot more selective. But what you have to consider is that higher tariff rate and what that may in fact mean for Hollywood productions, and if they're going to be able, for those studios, going to be able to meet those financial increases and importing their goods. So China may in fact allow for, say, like, I don't know, like Thunderbolts, for example. We don't know if there's a distribution. There's already contracts laid out for that. We don't know yet, but we don't know how far this extends into the the summer season. Definitely is a question mark. Well, that's definitely quite a bit of question mark because we don't know how far out distribution takes, in regards to importing goods, in the film aspects. We don't know if it's like 2-3 months out. We don't know. So this could in fact impact the summer season. Who knows? Because again, as I've illustrated in the last video, the domestic market is on a decline. Right here in America, if we're to just release films squarely in North America, which could in fact be potentially for the time being a possible thing, at least it's so not having a release in China, releasing to other markets, sure, because of what their tariff rates are right now, which I believe sit at like 10%. So that's a lot more negotiable, a lot more sustainable compared to the 84% tariff rate, which is in China. But domestically speaking, films can't rely upon, at least here in Hollywood, we can't rely upon our own audience because they are not showing up in waves as they used to. They are also becoming incredibly selective as to what kind of content they will or will not invest into. So you have to become more reliant to outside sources, hence the international market. And China, as they themselves point out, is the world's second largest film market. And it absolutely is. It absolutely is. I would even argue it might be the largest, film market in the world. But it's an incredible market for film in terms of profit, and to not have access to it, or potentially to have such a limited window because of just these higher tariff rates and because of just China's selective process now being enforced. It's a very uncertain period that we're going to be entering, specifically in the summer season. It's going to be rather interesting in terms of what films make their way to China right now, and if there are contracts in place for films that are entering the summer season, and because that's ultimately, at least right now, that may appear to be why some films right now are entering China, because of just already laid out contracts, and because if they were to enforce specific rates that are occurring right now, it may not meet their contracts. That might in fact be a breach of contract. So that's why these films are being able to distribute to China as currently. But in the future, I don't know. We don't know what the future may be. That could be like 2 or 3 months or 4 months. Who knows? You may in fact see a decline in terms of films being imported to the specific market, to the specific region. And that's a fairly big blow, but to be considerate though, to play the devil's advocate, it's not that China is saying that this is a complete ban. They're just saying they're being selective, and they have been selective in the past, and because of just their sensitivities towards certain depictions, as I've illustrated. Just now they're enforcing that process because of these current trade wars that are happening right now. And how that affects the American market is that, one, it's, as I've illustrated, because it becomes more of a sensitivity towards American films and their overall depictions and what they have coming in, and financially it may not be all that much of a benefit to them because of just the demands that are going to now be in place because of these higher tariff rates. It's it's going to be costly. It's going to be expensive. And I think studios are going to have to potentially gamble, become selective themselves as to what they distribute over to those regions. So it's, and as I said, China is not going to say no potentially to major pictures coming out like Superman, any of the Marvel films coming out, because they see that themselves that there's going to be potential to make money from those films. The problem is that these studios here in America, they may not be able to downright afford, to pay those large expenses that are going to be in place because of these higher tariff rates that are now in place. So it's not the case of China saying you're banned. It's just that you're now going to have to pay a lot more money than what you used to with now how this distribution system is now in place right now with these tariff rates being considered. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting, and we will see how this unfolds. I mean, definitely the summer season is going to be a very interesting period in terms of distribution. We will see. And again, I don't know how far out distribution is when it comes to products being released right now in the summer. We don't know. We don't know if like Thunderbolts or if films after that, Lilo and Stitch, what have you. We don't know if those films have gained distribution or have laid out a contract with China or that any part of that region. We don't know. We have no idea. But we'll see. And that will, in fact, the whole grosses for these movies. They're definitely going to be affected, because of how China is as a market and how it really does benefit a lot of these films to here domestically. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how films stack up this summer, because a lot of analysts were kind of hoping that the summer would be a turnaround period, because it's been a very lackluster year so far. And just downright, it's been a pretty rough start for the year. So a lot of analysts were hoping the summer may turn around, but because of just now things happening politically, it's probably a big question mark right now. So, and I know it sounds like it's kind of dramatizing it, but that's the truth of it. That market, there's a lot of benefits that are there, a lot of financial benefits, and we just there's a lot of uncertainty with just contracts, with deals, distribution. We don't know how far this extends for Hollywood generally. We don't know what films have already gained distribution, gained contracts, negotiations. We don't know how far this extends. So we'll just have to see how the summer unfolds. We'll just have to see if there is in fact a release for certain films within the Chinese market. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's not a ban. It's not a ban, because I feel like some people are going to say that. It's not a ban, guys. It's just you're now going to have to pay more than what you used to. So that's how it is, at least temporarily how it is right now. We'll see how things unfold in the next few months in this trade war, but as it stands, it definitely has an effect directly towards domestic goods, specifically in American films, and potentially with the financial prospects. We'll just have to wait and see how things shape up. So yeah. So it's a very uncertain time, and like I said, we'll see how the summer season unfolds. We'll see how things are laid out, what films had gained distribution, what films have not, and all we can do is cross fingers and hopefully we see better returns, or strap yourselves in, because the summer might be a bit rocky. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below in regards to this new development with China now limiting certain films coming in, or just limiting the number of Hollywood films coming in. Your thoughts on how this may affect the domestic market, or just frankly just with American films, just their financial prospects. Do you feel like films are going to be still kind of uncertain with just how they do financially, or do you think that there is maybe this window of distribution extends further from the summer? How far out do you think contracts with China have, do you think that it's just for this upcoming month, or do you think that it goes further than that? If you guys are more familiar with like film distribution, with negotiations, how those things go, let me know, because it's gonna be a very, very interesting few months if it is in fact that these contracts are they've only extended out to a certain period of time, like say like to films like to next month only, So, but let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course, just be civil, and if I know it's a little bit of a political topic, but keep it film centric. I mean, it's free speech, and you can do whatever the hell you want, but just just be respectful also. So let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below, and that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.